I send Juju videos on our walks like every day, and I do like play-by-play of what Kobe's doing.
It's a great picture.
Isn't he just so cute? We were babysitting a dog for the last 5 days, and every time I throw the frisbee, Kobe's twice as fast as him, so he would steal the frisbee every single time. But he would try to grab it out of Kobe's mouth, and they would do like a tug of war with this like flimsy frisbee, and they were like ripping it, and it was, and so I was just doing a play-by-play the entire time of like round one. Oh, I gotta do my World Series pick for me.
Dude, Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, no, you had your chance.
What? No, I only got one shot at it, and then I wasn't on the show for a while.
That's your fault.
Semi.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's just do a May Mulligan.
7 weeks into the season.
Right now?
He told you to go for it because he's already said Dodgers Astros. So what are you gonna do now?
Your World Series prediction is Dodgers and
it's still the Dodgers, of course. From the East, we're just gonna go with. I didn't even think about this; it just came to my head. What I did last time. Let's go.
You're killing me.
We'll go with the Yankees.
Welcome to the Circus Catch.
I'm always up for the challenge.
Are you kidding me? Guess who called that one?
I am dubbed the Houston player hater. I don't have time to believe.
You got butthurt.
What is he thinking?
Is he the greatest of all time?
It is like magic.
Good evening, gentlemen, and to all of you out there, good evening to you. We are recording unusually late for the Circus Catch, but it's great to be here this evening. I've got Austin and I've got Jackson. Fellas, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Are we doing like an NPR kind of voiceover thing?
A little bit of that smooth jazz, yeah.
Smooth.
Quiet storm.
Tuesday nights with the Circus Catch.
We'll see how long Austin can keep that going. He's got too much energy to stay in that voice the whole time. There it is. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me this week. Austin and Jackson, welcome to the show. Let's go ahead and dive right into the action, the NBA playoff action, guys. This second round has been much more entertaining and much closer than the first round, I would argue. Let's start in Cleveland and Boston. This is probably the biggest one where we see some degree of separation. I haven't seen much in the other series. Cleveland was without Donovan Mitchell on Monday night, but Boston was able to go in there and get the win. They now lead that series 3-1. Guys, are they the favorites in the East right now?
Oh, yeah.
I would say yes. I would say that Boston's still the favorite in the East right now. They've had the best record in the NBA.
At the end of the day, when they're playing their best basketball, they look like the best team in the NBA, and they're 100% favorites to come out of the East. And it's really tough for Cleveland to have Spider Mitchell miss that game. I mean, they don't have the role pieces and the other players that can step up and get a big win against arguably the, Goliath of the NBA right now. So it's definitely Boston for sure.
With the calf injury for Donovan Mitchell, he might not even play in the next game. It's just up in the air still whenever his next availability is going to be.
Is it a little strange to you guys that Boston is so good on the road and yet they are a mediocre 500 at home over the last couple seasons in the postseason?
It is weird because Boston's one of the best places in the NBA to play besides the Garden. Let's get that straight. We're talking about not TD. We're talking about MSG, of course. But it's still one of the most, epic places in the NBA to play. And it's almost like, especially in these series, they've been so dominant that they get up and have these leads and then, just kind of become lackadaisical down the stretch and they don't play the same basketball that they do when they're on the road. It's almost like they get up for the road games and they don't necessarily prepare as hard for the home games. I'm not going to say that they're actually not preparing. That's just what it seems like.
All right, let's go down to Jackson's sort of kind of neck of the woods with Dallas and Oklahoma City. Dallas has looked like the better team throughout. The fact that this is 2-2 is a little surprising, and it came down really on Monday night to the free throw shooting between Dallas and Oklahoma City. Dallas shot about 52%. Oklahoma City was near perfect in the 90s, And that ended up being the difference in the game, especially some free throws late by Luka Doncic that he missed. It gave Oklahoma City a chance, and it allowed them to retake home court advantage in this series.
I just don't understand how you're a professional basketball player and you're at the line and there's no one on you, no one guarding you. It's a free shot. Why are you shooting 52%? Because now it just makes me wonder, why not just draw the fouls and just get them to the line, because apparently they can't shoot. And then whenever asking Jason Kidd post game, oh, we're just going to have to come back, and I'm just paraphrasing, but we're just going to have to reassess and we're just going to come back and blah, blah, blah. Just giving you coach speak. We're going to prepare for it. Well, how do you prepare? Because you're not a good free throw shooting team throughout the entire season. It's not going to fix itself overnight. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head, and I knew that's where you're going. That's why I wanted to let you go first. I'm going to show Juju this episode because this is her biggest argument to me all the time when we're watching basketball. How are you a professional athlete and you don't shoot above 80% at the free throw line? It makes no sense. Just like what Jackson said, there's nobody guarding you. Nothing's happening. All you got to do is put a basket in a hoop. Shout out Dan Patrick. He said it is embarrassing, really. I mean, it's just like there's two things, right? In basketball and in golf. What are the things that people want to do? Like, people go out and practice versus what they don't practice. And at the basketball court, oh, let's launch threes. Let's dunk. Let's shoot jump shots. Nobody wants to go practice at the free throw line. It's boring. It's not fun. Same thing on the golf course. Oh, let me pull out the big stick. Let me pull out the driver. I want to hit this ball 350 yards. I don't want to go sit on the green and practice putting all day. It's boring. But here's the thing. When it comes down to it, how do you win in golf? You putt.
Short game.
Putt well, you're going to win. Short game, 110%. Tiger said Scotty is the best ball striker in the absolute world. And if he putts bad, he finishes top 10. If he putts okay, or if he putts well, he wins. And if he putts phenomenally, or if he leads the field in strokes gained putting, he's going to run away with the tournament. It's the same thing at the free throw line. These basketball games always come down to it. How do you shoot under 60% as a team? And then OKC shoots 96%, 23 of 24 at the free throw line in that basketball game. This is the perfect chance for Dallas to grab a hold of this series. And I understand everybody's going to make the excuses in the national media of Luka hasn't been healthy and he's not helping them very much and yada, yada, yada. But Kyrie's been phenomenal. They've been playing great defense. And when it comes down to the free throws, you got to be kidding me. We're in the second round of the postseason and you're trying to knock out somebody to go to the Western Conference Finals and you can't make free throws? What are we doing here?
Let's go back to the Eastern Conference and let's go to the Indiana-New York series, which has been a very, very good series. There's been a couple of blowouts, a lot of really close games, but the home team has won every time, including Tuesday night, which happened right now at the time of recording. New York just dominated Indiana. I'm a little tired of going on or scrolling through channels and seeing these professional sportscasters saying it's over, New York's winning it, or it's over, Indiana's winning it, after one team has a good game or the other team has a good game. In this series, it could go either way. And so for anyone to definitively say New York is the better team or Indiana is the better team, I call BS on that.
Obviously, Jalen clearly is not 100% after he had that apparent injury that had him leave before halftime. I know he came back and finished the game, and he still looked phenomenally. He looked phenomenal tonight in the Garden. Saw him break a couple ankles, scored a good amount of big buckets in the second half for the Knicks. But this is like reminding me of an old school Indiana New York series. And it's very gritty. It's very grinded out style basketball. It's very, very physical. We saw DiVincenzo and Miles Turner get into it tonight. There's been lots of hard fouls. This is what playoff basketball is all about. I love a series like this. I'm amped up for the next game because this is arguably the biggest game of the series, going back to Indiana when they're trailing 3-2. So, yeah, no series is really over after two games. They're 7-game series for the reason.
Do you guys think that home court advantage actually exists?
In this series, absolutely. MSG, to Austin's point, is one of the loudest places to play. It's in Indiana's head. And oddly enough, you go to, what's it called, the field house in Indianapolis. And New York can't get it together. You know, yeah, they've had OG Anunoby out, and I thought that was really going to affect their chances in the series. Tonight proved otherwise. But just not able to get it together. Tyrese Halliburton looks like a god in Indiana, and he looks like a mortal in New York. So I think it is.
I 100% think it is, especially when you go to these buildings like OKC, or you go to the Garden, or you go to Indiana's got a pretty solid spot on it too. Minnesota, same thing, because the biggest thing is your passionate fan base, right? So you could never get a Lakers fan base to put, they put the yellow shirts, the purple and gold, whatever color they want to put out there. They'll put them on the chairs, right? For the playoff game. They want everybody to look the same and everybody to have the same shirts on to be like one unified fan base. Nobody's ever going to do that in LA because it's all about, look at me, I'm at the Laker game, look at my outfit, blah, 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 blah. Not necessarily about what's going on the court. And I think that 100% plays an advantage in certain series.
Denver and Minnesota, it hasn't played out that way. I can't tell you why it's played out this way. I think when the series shifted back to Minnesota, Anthony Edwards lost his focus in that portion of the series. I think that Denver really got a fire lit under their ass when their coach said, hey, look at all these people saying you're going to get swept. Not beaten, swept. I couldn't believe when people were saying that, because I remember a few years ago, Brooklyn was up 2-0 on Milwaukee, and people were saying that about them. Milwaukee came back in that series and won the entire thing that year against the Phoenix Suns. You never want to say anyone's going to get swept when they're down 2-0. Anything can happen, and Austin, perfectly, like you said earlier, these are the defending champs. This might be the best 1 through 5 in the entire association right now.
I think that Anthony Edwards has been playing well. I mean, come on. The last game he scored 44 points. There's only so much that he can do.
Say he wasn't playing.
I know you're not saying that, but it's the other guys, the other players like Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. They need to step up. And I will defend Rudy Gobert. He's sleep deprived. He just had a baby. Probably doesn't have like a midwife or a wet nurse that's coming there. He's having to do changings and feedings himself. He's probably just needs to get a little bit more sleep.
No, the guy has more money than I can ever imagine. He's got a team of babysitters.
Hey, fathers. We're all, Jordan, you know this. We got sleep deprived those first couple days post baby being born, okay?
I also didn't have a 9-figure bank account.
Athlete.
So sometimes the professional athletes might want to be there in the trenches, taking care of the baby, not dealing with the nanny, not dealing with your
not during the Western semis.
It is that I don't know, man. But going back to what you were talking with Mike Malone,
good effort,
yeah. But back with Mike Malone, he did quote Rudy Tomjanovich saying, "Never underestimate the heart of a champion," because that's what he was saying to the media whenever they were counting him out, like down 0-2. They came back to persevere, and you're right, Jordan. They're on they win tonight. They can go back over in Minnesota and they can close it out because they're playing. They have the momentum right now.
The Atlanta Hawks received the first overall pick in the upcoming 2024 NBA draft next month. They had a 3% chance to get it. Meanwhile, the Detroit Pistons fans must be miserable right now. At least you guys have the Lions, because you guys have had the best odds to get the number 1 pick many times in the last 5 seasons. Missed out on Wemby last year. Missed out on Paolo the year before. You guys picked 5th this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to slightly affect what Atlanta's going to do with Trae Young, possibly in the offseason. They obviously weren't expected to get the first overall pick. Now, do they package this to get 2 players, or do they keep Trae Young and try to build with yet another player? And all Atlanta fans are praying, please don't draft a point guard. Please don't draft a point guard. Please don't draft a point guard.
The most interesting prospect in the 2024 NBA draft, obviously, is Mr. Bronny James. Don't know if you ever heard of this young kid out of USC. It's going to be interesting because I think he is going to be used possibly as bait by one of these teams if the Lakers don't draft him, to try to get LeBron to come over to their side. How realistic that is, who knows? But he famously mentioned he did want to play with his son in the NBA.
And now he's backpedaling off of that, though, because he's not trying to bring the attention to that anymore. Because I know we did that if it was on the shop or whatever, but
I think that might be strategic, though.
it is. But do you think that he's really going to try to leave LA? Because it's like LeBron has almost any and everything that he can have.
Well, he's not going to leave LA.
What I think he wants to do is he's trying to get them to draft him.
Do you want to be the Lake Show, or do you want to just be a sideshow?
Boom, roasted.
I'm just saying.
No, it's facts. Like, what are we doing here?
I know.
They already said, like, oh, yeah, we want to sign him to a max deal. Max deal.
Jerry Buss would be rolling in his grave right now to see what the stake of what he built, where it currently is. And I'm not even a Laker guy, but I respect the man for bringing championships to LA and what he did and making the NBA where it is, especially just throwing all that money at Kareem and throwing all that money at Magic and just doing what he did to help
bringing Shaq over.
Yeah.
Can't have it both ways. Kobe, you can't expect a supermax and also complain about not having bench players and rotation players.
And also fire every single head coach that comes in and do this and do that and yada, yada, yada. It's like, dude, the Lakers are not setting themselves up for the future if they're trying to draft Bronny just so they can make a bunch of money for 2 to 3 years. Like, Bronny needs to go back to college. He doesn't need to be in the draft in the NBA combine right now. Go play at another university and go be good and go learn how to be good, because you're not an NBA talent right now.
We've been talking about young talent. Let's talk about two of the youngest talents and best talents in their respective sports. Let's talk the debuts of Paul Skenes and Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, the phenom in college basketball over the last few years, has really brought the WNBA into a new light, and she made her debut on Tuesday night against the Connecticut Sun. Not a very overwhelming debut, to put it bluntly. 20 points. It's great. No rebounds, only 3 assists and 2 steals. Field goal percentage was 33%. 3-point percentage was 36.4. Nothing to write home about. Paul Skenes, the guy who everybody is raving about because of his performance last year in the College World Series. College World Series most outstanding player for the LSU Tigers. This will make you guys feel a little bit older. He was born in 2002, the #1 pick overall last year. He is a pitcher who averages over 100 miles an hour on his fastball. I know how you guys, especially Jackson, how you feel about guys throwing their arms out each and every night. Granted, it was on a rain delay, but his debut, he ended with a 6.75 ERA and 4+ innings of work. Again, nothing to write home about. Not a great debut, but both of them have their first games in the books. We've seen a lot of players go on to do great things who didn't have a great debut. Guys, who do you think is the first to shake it off? Because obviously they're both going to have great careers. But who do you think is going to be more impressive quicker?
I'm still going to go with Caitlin Clark on this one, just because you're coming from, NCAA women's game, and then you're transitioning to the professional game. It's a lot faster. You're playing with people of the same level as you. And being a rookie, you're going to get humbled a little bit. That being said, she is going to be able to get her bearings and actually improve a whole lot faster, because as a pitcher, you throw every 5 days? Caitlin's going to be able to get back on the court faster and transition and get at it. I think that it's a no-brainer that Caitlin Clark is going to transition a whole lot faster.
Yeah, I was trying to make an argument in my head while you were saying that, just in case you chose Caitlin Clark as well, on why I could pick Skenes, but it's pretty much everything you said. And also the fact that in Major League Baseball, he's on a team that is not very good right now. They started off the year very, very good. Right now they have lack of run support, and that's a huge thing as a pitcher. And also the jump from college baseball to the MLB is massive. And I'm not saying that the jump from college to the WNBA isn't massive, but I personally don't think it's as massive as baseball is, as baseball, as we all know, is one of the hardest sports in the entire world. Paul Skenes, he will be fine. He's going to have a great career. It's also so much hype. And I know there's hype surrounding Caitlin Clark too. She's a generational type talent. She's the best in the world, best college player ever, changed the game. But just like Jackson said, she's got so much more time to like quickly get back on the court and recover. And Paul Skenes, it's like, the best pitching prospect since what? We were talking about it since Strasburg, probably.
Yeah.
Like that is a lot of things to live up to on a bad team. Just not a mediocre team that's not playing very well. It doesn't have the run support, and then also doesn't have the bullpen. So let's say when he only goes 4 runs and the first 2 runners get on and they pull him, bullpen help's not going to help. That's going to make his ERA look worse because they're the ones giving up the runs, even though he's the one that allowed the runners on base. So that affects his ERA, obviously. But they both will recover just fine, but it's definitely Caitlin Clark for sure.
I'm going to disagree with both of you. I think that it's going to be easier for Skenes to shake it off for kind of the reason that Jackson said. He's got 5 days till his next game. He knows what he needs to go in and fix. He is one of the hardest throwing pitchers in the league already. With Caitlin Clark, she's playing offense and defense on the court the whole time. It's going to take a while to get used to the speed of the game at the higher level, but not only that, what does Paul Skenes have on his shoulders? Potentially the future of the Pirates, but not even the current present of the Pirates. Caitlin Clark has the league on her shoulders. She has the women's game on her shoulders. In a very real sense, she has all women on her shoulders. She's not only just a generational talent, but what she means to society as a whole is a lot more than what Paul Skenes means to society as a whole. No offense to him at all. I think Paul Skenes is going to be just fine. There's a lot less pressure. He's going to get taken care of. May not have the run support, but this guy only pitches. He's not on the other side. So offensive support's not going to be as big of a deal, in my opinion. The Rangers are actually in danger right now. They were up 3-0 in this series, guys, but Carolina is coming back with a vengeance. The series is now 3-2. Is it possible we could see a reverse sweep? It's happened in the NHL more than it's happened in any other league. Never happened in the NBA. Happened once in baseball. It's happened 4 times in hockey. The last time, 2014, Los Angeles Kings did it to the San Jose Sharks.
The Rangers, they won the President's Cup, correct?
They did, yeah.
Okay, so lately, I know that Jesse is probably going to just be screaming whenever he watches this, but it's something about like those who have won the President's Cup, they haven't gone too far in the Stanley Cup playoffs, correct?
President's Cup curse.
For one of the best teams in history last year and lost in the first round.
And something happened like the previous season.
Tampa Bay too did it a couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe fate is going to, like history is going to repeat itself, that President's Cup winner is not going to get to the Stanley Cup final.
It is the second round of the postseason, so it wouldn't be as disappointing, but it still would be a massive disappointment if they somehow it would be a monumental collapse from the best team in the NHL. It's just crazy how it happens in hockey. Like they figure out 1 or 2 things and you give hockey players confidence, and that's really all they need to go on a run. And Carolina, man, look out. And you lose 2 in a row and you're in New York. All of a sudden, you're starting to slowly hit that panic button a little bit, especially if you're that goaltender. A lot of pressure on your shoulders there. It's going to be an interesting Game 6.
Moving on to the Colorado-Dallas series. Dallas is up in that series 3-1. Looking like a number 1 seed. Didn't look like a number 1 seed too much in that series in the first round against the Vegas Golden Knights. Looked like they were barely going to hang on to win that one. But Dallas has been playing like a number 1 seed in this one. And to make matters worse for the Colorado Avalanche, I'm sure you guys have heard, Valeri Nichushkin, 6-month suspension. 6 months. So it's suspension without pay. And there are tiers to this. I don't know exactly how it works in the NHL, but I was reading up on it a little bit. There's first offense, second offense, third offense. This is his third offense, so that's why the minimum standard is 6 months no pay. He was warming up on the ice in Game 3, I believe, and he had to get pulled before the game because the suspension kicked in. So hoping for the best for him in his personal life. Substance abuse is no joke. Hopefully he can get better from this because he's a hell of a talent and he's helped them so much in the postseason so far. But yeah, I don't see a way Dallas loses this series.
It's over.
The stars are shining.
Ooh, good one.
The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
Oh, had to one up me there.
Wow.
That was even better. Boston and Florida.
Dirty series.
Boston and Florida has been a dirty series. The last couple of big games have been very close, very controversial, to say the least. I think that the Bruins maybe have a right to be upset about that the way that Game 4 ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the sky's falling in Boston.
They won earlier by a score of 2-1, so they hung on. Panthers look really good, though. I am not going to bet against them. I think Panthers are going to win the series, but yeah, it's been a heck of a series to watch when I have been able to watch it.
Yeah, it's you're gonna look like a great hockey team when you can come across the middle of the ice and pass the puck to your teammate and then punch somebody in the jaw and lay them out and not get caught for it. So yeah, you're gonna look like a great hockey team when you get away with that stuff. Mind you, Boston's best player. So
yeah, but you don't think that what Florida has done against Tampa and now against Boston has merited anything other than that?
No, I just wanted to point that out. They've been impressed.
That's fair.
I just thought it was really dirty, and I don't like dirty players. So
yeah, I agree with you. You're not wrong on that one.
They have been impressive. I'm not gonna lie; they look impressive. I will give them their quote unquote flowers, but punching a player, and I don't know if you saw the actual close up of the video. It looks like you might have got him with the butt end of the stick, which is like way worse and way dirtier than throwing a fist in there. Regardless, they're both dirty, but yeah, man, Florida looks good.
Edmonton and Vancouver. There is going to be a team from Canada that makes it to the conference finals. It has been forever and a day since a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup final. We are going to see one get close. It's either going to be the Edmonton Oilers or the Vancouver Canucks. I thought Vancouver was good, but I thought Edmonton had something special. But their Cinderella season is in danger, guys. They had to make a goalie change because of the terrible performance in Game 3 from Skinner. Let's call it what it is. He gave up goals at the beginning, had to go out, had to get subbed back in. As soon as he came back in, gave up goals again. Series percentage for him, .881. That's not going to get the job done, so they make the change. Is it too little too late for Edmonton?
Edmonton just has looked like a completely different team from the first round to the second round, and it's kind of confusing. I watched the game the other night, and I mean, even on the power play, they're a pretty strong power play team, and I mean, they weren't even getting shots on net, which if you want to win a Stanley Cup final, you got to score on the power play. It's pretty plain and simple. You just have to. That's how you win. So I got to cover, I'll make this really quick. I got to cover the Montana State. The Big Sky Conference track and field championships were in Bozeman for the first time in 12 years. And it was epic. You know me, I'm not a track guy. I don't run. There's never track. Baseball, basketball, football, that's all me. No interest in track, right? Wednesday, 4 or 5 inches of snow. Got to do all these live shots from the track with the Bridger Mountains in the background. Absolutely beautiful. Started with the decathlon, heptathlon. Men's title, right? NAU is the track powerhouse in the Big Sky Conference. They were going for a 4P to the men's title. Starting with a 110-meter hurdle race, NAU guy false starts, right? He's out. Gets no points for his team. All these events happen. Comes down 3 races left, 400-meter dash. Montana State's Jet Grundy. What a name for a track guy, right? Jet. Freshman from Australia, is behind on the last 100 meters, catches the Weber State guy like a Kentucky Derby horse, leans over the finish line, and literally photo finish, his nose won him the race. Phenomenal.
That's awesome.
To put Montana State into a position to where they were down by 5 points to NAU going into the 4x400 meter relay. right? The only way, because it's team points, the only way that Montana State can win the men's team title being down by 5 is if they win the 4x400 and NAU finishes 5th. In the prelims, their times were 0.01 from away from each other. So they're the same exact speed on the 4x400. First lap goes around. Montana State's in first. Montana's in second. NAU's in third. We're like, all right, whatever. NAU's going to win the title. Second lap, they're still in third. Fourth lap, NAU guy, don't know what happened, slowly starts to drop back. And we're like, oh my God, this might happen. Fifth lap, NAU drops back to 5th. And at this point, you got to understand, it's the final event of the entire Big Sky Conference Championships. The whole entire crowd's on their feet. All of the athletes of all 10 schools are surrounding the track because it's the final event. Everybody's going nuts. Montana State and Montana are like side by side, like this close. Same kid, Jet Grundy, that won the 400 meter. He's the final guy in the relay. Takes it across the finish line. They finish first. NAU finishes 5th. Big time choke job by NAU. Montana State wins the men's team title for the first time since 2005, the only second time in program history.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for spending your evenings with me tonight, your late evenings in the Central and Mountain time zones. I do want to give a shout out real quick to our very own Jackson Cochran, whose birthday is coming up at the time of release of this episode. Jackson, I don't know if you can read that. It says
you're the best.
You're the best.
You're the best, my friend. Thank you for coming on the show. You're 21 again. That's all that matters.
You don't need to
the
tell
best
people
of the least.
Age.
I'm going to be 40. I'm going to be 40. Everybody who listens to the Circus Catch, I'm going to be 40. I have actually 67 minutes left in my 30s.
Well, not really, because you just count it Pacific time. You're fine. Plenty of time.
But I live in Central Time.
The show is Pacific time because it's being recorded in California.
The most handsome 4-0 I know.
All right. Well, from down in Texas where they're celebrating birthdays, up in Montana where they're celebrating by-a-nose victories, and out to California where I'm celebrating all day, every day. Sayonara.
Later.